Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We often talk about healing and doing our spiritual practice and working with the light. We do our practices with Lama Yoga and going deeper within the heart, trying to connect to the heart seed. But, you know, why are we doing all of this? I always like to take a moment and kind of reflect on what we're doing and why we're doing it. And if you look at like how we think throughout the day or how we interact with different things in the environment, people, situations, the things at work, how we deal with difficult situations. And a lot of how we interact and how we think and how we feel is based on our nervous system. And when we think of like an old event or a traumatic event or something that might be causing us anxiety or be upset now, we are having some sort of experience, but a lot of times we don't know how we got there. And when we think of something that is trauma, we think about it from the point of view of the mind. And really, a lot of times the trauma that's locked in the body is more in the nervous system than it is in the mind. And trauma for the nervous system or trauma for the body is not like the story that we have in our head of the past situation or the thing that the person said or the stresses that it might have happened at work or whatever it might be. It's more of what the body and what the nervous system had to do to get through that situation, right? It had to make an adjustment, it had to make a shift. It maybe got injured and the body went into a little bit of a tailspin, or we got super stressed out and we felt unstable, or we felt we were in a little bit of danger, or things were just uncertain. And the nervous system has to adjust, it has to adapt, it has to kind of stabilize us so that we can get through that day and continue to thrive and survive. And but after that, the nervous system doesn't go back to the way that it was. It just is like, this is the new us. And so conditioning is very real. You know, we have these bad experiences and then we get through them, but we don't really realize how much that bad experience or that overwhelming stress or that traumatic event or the lack of sleep for so long, how much it's affecting us, right? How much it's impacting us. How much does it affect our mind, our emotions, even our behaviors, right? And when we go through and we do Lama Yoga, part of what you're doing is you're breaking out of this effect. You're breaking out of the conditioning. And you could think of it like this, is that when we go through and we have a negative experience, in your body, there starts to be these neurological loops, right? So if you think about it, you have these experiences, you get through them, and then, you're sitting there at home by yourself, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling anxious, a little bit of stimuli, and all of a sudden you're kind of spinning out a little bit, or you're starting to feel a particular way. And you're like, I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I think these things. I don't know why I feel these things. And sometimes I don't know why I behave this way or get triggered the way that I do. And, we look at how to resolve this in the mind or how we commit to something emotionally. But a lot of times it's really more neurological. And if we understand this idea, we start to see the wisdom of Lama Yoga. We start to see the wisdom of the meditation with the rose and the meditation with the blossoming lotus. And so I thought we'd do a little bit deeper exploration and gain some understanding of some of these things that we do. So whenever we have uh, one of those loops, and we all have them, it's not like, do I have them? It's to what degree that we have them. You know, it's the easiest thing to do is just assume that you have them because it's part of being human. It's it's part of your nervous system. And so these loops, these kinds of repetition that are in the body, they make us feel a particular way, they make us think certain thought processes, or they make us think in ways that are very repetitive. So if you think of something like anxiety, it'll rise up and you do whatever you do to like calm it down, and then you're like, ah, I feel better, and then all of a sudden it rises up again. It's in a loop, right? So putting your awareness on your body and being still and just observing how you feel in your body, or observing the thought that arises or the feeling that arises, or you say get triggered by some situation, and you start to feel a certain thing in your body, your emotions, your mind. By sitting and observing, just the fact of observing, you begin to break the loop, right? You begin to re-educate the loop. The loop is based on, in the mind, intellect, and in the body, it's a thing called homeostasis, which just means your body is trying to manage itself and maintain some sort of equilibrium, and it does it through repetition. So this is good for us in a lot of ways, but then when it comes to trauma, it also kind of shoots us in the foot, you could say, because it will maintain the trauma. Like, it just doesn't really judge good or bad. It's just like, this is us and we're going to maintain it. We're going to do it through a lot of repetition. And so the act of going through and observing, you're starting to shift the mind from being in your everyday mind, and you're starting to shift it into more of the intuitive mind, right? And by going through and doing that, you're allowing for something spontaneous to happen, which means you are breaking out of the loop. And you start to have a higher experience. You start to experience the light. You start to experience more of your higher self rather than the lower self that gets triggered and reacts. And in doing so, we start to kind of impregnate these loops with our higher faculties rather than our lower faculties, or our traumas, our stresses, our fears. We start to impregnate these loops with a sense of oneness, a sense of peace, a sense of stability, a sense of being safe, right? And in having these experiences, it begins to shift the nervous system and how the body, how the mind sees the environment, right? So when we go through, a lot of times we're doing some of these processes, variations of these processes, where we observe something and we do a process in the body, or we surround ourselves with light. And it's a nice visualization. It's an affirmation and a process that makes you feel good and makes you feel relaxed. But the level of healing that it generates is very deep and very profound. And, there's different energy modalities where they'll project energy at a person, things like Reiki and things like this. They'll project a lot of energy. And that is helpful. It helps the body get stronger. It helps the body heal to a certain extent. But it doesn't necessarily break these loops. When we sit and we do our practice where you sit and you're being very still and observing something that's happening either in your mind, you're reflecting on something from the environment, or you're being aware of something in your body, you're helping to re-educate that loop, right? You're using awareness to heal. Now, to take it a step further, we don't all heal at the same rate, right? Just because our body needs healing, our emotions, our mind needs healing. It's not just a blanket universal response. Even that has like a quality to it and a quantity. And you could say the level of healing that you experience in your body, the level of healing that you experience in your emotions and your mind is tied to the connection between the heart, the navel, and the brain. And the more that these things are aligned, the more that we start to generate like a healing response in the body, right? A healing response, no matter if you're looking at it from a normal everyday physiological point of view based on modern medicine and the anatomy and physiology of the body, or you're looking at it from a new age point of view, or you're looking at it as we do in Astara from a mystical point of view. All of that is tied to the intuitive process. You know, we might call it by different things, but it's all part of the intuitive process, the intuitive mind. You could call it rest and repair mode in the nervous system. You could call it the healing response. You know, you could say that it has to do with your body being in a calm and still state. But if you think about what do they tell you when you injure yourself? Or what happens after you have surgery? Do they tell you, okay, you've injured yourself and you've had surgery. You need to walk around the block about 8 miles and stay super busy. No, they tell you to rest, relax, elevate something, ice something. They're trying to get your body to rest and relax. Well, what happens when your body is been overstimulated through stress and being in a little bit of fight flight and anxiety? Our rate of recovery is diminished, right? And so how do we get that back? How do we start to recover a little bit more like when we were younger? If you think about like a kid, they get hurt, they shake it off, and they bounce back kind of quickly. And, for a while, youth backs us up. But then, the 30s hit, and then the 40s, and then the 50s, and our rate of healing isn't quite like it was when we were 12. We love it to be that way, but it's different. And, some of this is tied to this alignment. So we do different processes. We spend time with our awareness on the body, shifting these loops, and we do processes where we align the heart, the navel, and the crown, trying to accelerate the rate of healing in the body. And even when we do just a simple practice of meditating on the rose, we're activating the heart, but even there, you're beginning to have a greater level of alignment, right? And so all our practices kind of lead us in this direction. And we think of self healing as that we need to address specifically a particular symptom or a particular condition. We need to face it head on and square off with it and really address it in that way. But when we look at it from the point of view of the intuitive mind, if we can engage the healing process, if we can bring in a level of awareness and not just our normal everyday mind, our body has the ability to heal itself. Even the emotions and mind have the ability to heal itself in ways that our everyday mind or our intellect just can't touch. It can't touch it. And how do we bring this in more? We just engage this process. How can we bring in deeper levels of healing? So right off the bat, let's do the practice of just being still and being aware to start generating healing in some of these neurological loops. And then we'll turn on the healing process. We'll deepen our body's ability to heal. So, what I'd like you to do is reflect on an area of your body, your emotions, your mind, your environment, relationship, whatever it might be. Reflect on something that needs healing, something you would like to improve or have it, heal or get better. So just close your eyes and reflect. Now, just let that go, whatever that issue was. And as you sit there and are being still, just put your awareness on your body. You're not really thinking about the area of healing. You're not thinking about what you're supposed to do or how to tackle some problem. All you're thinking about is, where do I feel something in my body? A heaviness, an agitation, or just an area that your attention is drawn to. Wherever that is in your body, your awareness is there, and you're just observing. You're not trying to make it go away. You're not trying to relax it. You're just observing it. Continue to observe it. And then just let it go for a moment. And again, that same area for healing, reflect on it again. Observe it. Just like you observed your body, observe that situation, that past event, that incident, whatever that was. Even if it's a potential that's in the future, observe it. Now let that go. Now, where do you feel that in your body? You're observing it. And you're just letting go. Be aware of your thoughts as they arise in your mind. And then also just let go. Just be still. Silently affirm, I am surrounded by the pure white light. And in this place of stillness, this is where we can begin to re educate or reprogram the nervous system. In this stillness, we affirm only goodness comes to me. Only goodness goes from me. I am surrounded by the pure white light. I am protected. I am guided. I am healed. We're going to shift over to the mystic vibration practice, and we're going to accelerate the healing processes of the body.